Welcome. My name is Pastor Brad Grams. I'm the lead pastor here at West McKinley Church here in Fresno. We are on the west side of Fresno, 99 McKinley area. We're just thrilled that you guys are with us today. What's happening today is a really exciting event. We have Heather Layne with us, and she's going to be doing a concert for us, and we're excited that she's here. She hooks up with Celebrate Recovery, which is a wonderful program. We have Celebrate Recovery here in our church, and it's throughout the valley. It's associated with Rick Warren's church down in Saddleback, Orange County area. And it's just a great, great program to help people who have life-controlling problems. It can be all kinds of different things: drug addiction, alcohol addiction, eating disorders, codependency, all types of different life-controlling issues. It's a great time, and we'd love to have you be with us tonight. We have an exciting thing coming up for you a little bit later in the program. We are going to have some testimonies of people who are either currently a part of the program or who have been a part of the program in the past. They're going to share what God has done for them through Celebrate Recovery. So be ready for that. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to hear life-changing testimonies. Here at West McKinley, we have other programs as well, not just Celebrate Recovery. We have programs for our kids. We call them Royal Rangers and Missionettes. They meet on Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock right here on the campus. By the way, our Celebrate Recovery also meets on Wednesday nights along with that. So if you come to Celebrate Recovery, we have programs for your kids. We have youth programs for junior high through high school. We have adult Bible studies as well. That we do. Sunday mornings, we have great celebrations together. We have two services, one at 8:30, one at 10:15. Have a great time of worship. We believe that everybody should have an encounter with God, and so we try to make that opportunity every Sunday morning for people to encounter the Lord. We preach the Word and have a great time. We have a great community of believers. You will not find a better group of people who love God and love each other than you will at West McKinley. We'd love to have you join us sometime. Let's go to the sanctuary, and we're going to hear Heather Layne in concert. It's going to be a great time together.
Well, hello, Fresno. Woohoo! It's good to be here. Why don't we go ahead and stand? We're going to start with some worship. My husband's going to start us off. Here we go. Put your hands together. All right. I will rise out of these ashes, rise from this trouble I found in this trouble on the ground. I will rise. That's right. I will rise out of these ashes, rise. And when you're done shaking hands, you can have a seat. So glad you came out tonight. If you don't know who my husband and I are, we are Dennis and Heather. We live in Clovis. This is a local concert. Yay. I just want to honor my pastors are here today, Wave, Chris, and Dee Dee. They're from our church in Clovis, Valley Community Church of God, and he's a CR guy too, which is really cool. Celebrate Recovery. Amen. Thank you, Celebrate Recovery, for bringing us in tonight, and Pastor Brad. We were so blessed to be in the service this morning. And before we go on, I'm going to give you just a little snippet of my testimony and where I'm coming from. My life hit bottom a little over 10 years ago because of a lot of things, really. But when I was younger, my family, we didn't go to church. We didn't have Bibles in our house. We had things like Ouija boards and tarot cards, and there was some darkness in my life. And my parents divorced when I was young. And I started going to a youth group when I was younger, and I got mixed up with a volunteer that was there. He was 10 years older than me, and I didn't know this at the time, but he was looking for a young girl to, quote, train to be his wife. He had a lot of control issues, very violent guy, but I did not know that till I got into the relationship. I was a people pleaser by nature, and when I got into this relationship, I started being abused physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally, and I was scared to say anything. I just didn't want to rock the boat, so I stuffed it down, and every day my heart died a little more, and I went through this for about 3 years. It was very traumatic. Finally got out 3 years later, but I had learned to wear a mask that told everybody I was okay when I really wasn't. I was valedictorian of my class. I was head cheerleader, yearbook editor. If you would have asked me back then, hey, Heather, how's it going? I would have said just fine. But in the background, I'm having a gun held to my head, my life threatened, my family threatened, and it was just an absolute nightmare. Now, one great thing about that is before I was following God, before I knew any better, God had his hand on me and he was protecting me. And I believe he got me out of that relationship alive. Amen. The Lord is awesome. So I wanted to share this song with you. It's a song about hitting bottom when we come to the end of ourselves, because that's really what I needed. I needed to come to the end of everything I thought I had figured out. I really had nothing figured out with God. This is a true song about a guy that lives in Arizona. His name is Tim. He's now a pastor, and he was a drug addict and an alcoholic for quite a while, and he said he'd sold everything. He was down to 2 bags, and his wife and his daughter were in the driveway leaving him for California, and he said, I couldn't wait till they left so I could get back in the house and use again. And he said that was his low point. We all have that point. We all have that point of surrender where we say, I can't do this anymore, God, on my own. I need some help. So I wrote this song about Tim, and he has a good ending to his story. His wife came back. God healed their marriage. He's now a pastor after he went to prison. Amen. He found the Lord in prison. God can do amazing things with broken people. So hope you enjoy this song, Lever Main. I'm at the bus stop, it's Saturday. This guy walks up like he's got something to say. Takes a seat and starts to tell his story. He says, ma'am, I know that you don't know me, but these 2 bags are all that's left of me. And through it all, God's been good to me. And he said, now I'm free, 'cause I finally see the importance you. Amen. Well, I already introduced my husband. This is Dennis behind me. And over here, yeah, you can give him a hand. I'll just tell you, he's a recovering alcoholic, and you're going to hear his story in a little while. We're going to put him on kind of in the middle of the concert here. And over here to my right is Vincent J. Vera. He's from Reedley.
I do all my shopping in Clovis, though.
Wait, what'd you say?
I do all my shopping in Clovis.
He has all these one-liners. He's great. He's a singer-songwriter. He's on YouTube. If you YouTube some of my videos, you might see Vincent come up. He's a worship leader in Orange Cove at a church there. And when we're home, on the home front, we're not traveling. He's usually playing gigs with us there, so we're glad to have him tonight. I just want to go on with my story. After I got out of that horrendous relationship, I jumped into a marriage about a year later, and I was a mess. I was still in denial. At the end of that marriage, about my late 20s, everything started to fall apart. And I had, like I said, no answers for my life. I just felt like I kept making wrong decisions. And I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I know I didn't grow up in church. I know I'm afraid of church. I know I feel unqualified every time I walk through a church door, but I'm going to do this because I know I need help. And I'd heard people talk about how God had helped them, so I tried it. I did it. And somebody heard that I was writing songs. And I'll just tell you, these songs that I'm writing, nobody's taught me how to do this. It was a total God thing. When my life crashed, all of a sudden the songs started coming. I couldn't read music, never had a music lesson. I was just writing out of my pain and out of my thankfulness that I found the best friend of my whole life. And it was Jesus. Amen. I was a single mom. I was tore up. I was in pain. There was times I was suicidal. But you know what? I pressed on because I knew God had a greater plan for me. I knew I wasn't just a throwaway like I'd been told. I knew there was more for me. And I knew I had to press through the pain of my past because my mouth was hurting other people now because of the pain I had stuffed. And God needed to deal with that. So I got into recovery, Celebrate Recovery, and I thought it was for addicts and alcoholics. No way. I couldn't believe it covered so many things. The first time I heard the 12 steps, I thought, that is a roadmap. I need that. I need that. I need to know as a heathen, how do I follow God? How do I work through my mess? How do I get better? How do I unpile all these things that I feel buried under? So I want to share this next song with you. It's our pastor's been preaching on relentless love, relentless God. And it's a song about God's relentless love. He will not stop chasing us until we turn around and look at him and say, yes, Papa God, what do you want? And, you know, he's never going to give up on us. He's never going to quit working on us. He's relentless. But he's so gentle in that process, and he loves us so good, like we've never been loved in our whole life. So anyway, this is a brand new song, Relentless Love. Addiction, addiction, different day, but yeah, same old way, and I'm tired. saturate me and overtake me when they overrate me. Can you make me be? Though we and uproot me and see through me and dethrone me, 'cause you own me and I'm weak. Can you make me? Take me higher through your fire, and don't stop till you got every part of me. Relentless love burning up all of these things in me. And don't stop till you got every part of me. Relentless love burning up all of these things in me. And don't stop till you got every part of me. Relentless love burning up all of these things in me. Thank you. All right, well, I'm really excited about this next song, too. It's a new one, and we are getting ready to record a brand new album. We're having a fundraiser concert on May 4th at Woodward Park. We have tickets here tonight. If you sell 5, you get 1 free for every 5 you sell, or you can just purchase one if you want. They're $10. We're having people sponsor tickets, too, where we can invite the recovery homes and the transitional homes to come for free. And we need help and support just because we're not signed to a label. Yes, I'm a Nashville recording artist. Yes, I have producers, a producer in Nashville, but we live in Clovis. And God funds everything that we do. And when the Lord says do something, he funds it. Amen. So I'm really excited about this song, and I had this vision once. When I started singing, they asked me to lead the music for this 12-step group in Visalia. And I did it afraid. I was really nervous because people had made fun of me a lot growing up when I tried to sing. And I quit singing from age 20 till almost 30. So here I am leading worship thinking I'm a heathen. I don't know why they have me up here. You know, God's never going to use me and things like that. I never once said I want to be a singer when I grow up, and I never, definitely ever said I want to be a minister for God. But God has higher ways than we do. And you know what? Today, in this day in the earth, God is calling the unlikely, the forgiven, and he's calling us to himself so he can repair us, heal us, and send us out. Because there is a harvest coming in the end times. And I believe it's people that have been broken, that have been through healing, are a lot of the ones that God is calling and raising up. And so here I'm sitting on this beach, right? Not thinking any of this.
I was a lot younger than I am today. And the Lord shows me this vision of a sea of people. And he says, help me. I just keep hearing this voice, help me. And I'm like, what do you want me to do, Lord? He said, help me. And I'd watch the people, and they'd go under, and they'd come back up. And he just showed me that our world needs him. But we are his mouthpiece in the world. And how we live our lives is a mouthpiece without even opening our mouths. And so I surrendered that day. I told God, I said, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I will go wherever you tell me to go. Just give me the courage to change and the courage to go. And this song, even though it's a brand new song, it so reminds me of that time when God asked me to lay my plow down and to be a farmer for the Lord. And hope you enjoy this song. We was all just sitting on the porch one day. Grandpa said, listen up, I got something to say. There'll come a day the Lord's gonna call your name. Two different roads, a choice to make. See, I was born and raised in a farming town. Third generation farming ground. 2,000 acres seemed like a good plan. Just 22, it was all I knew, all I wanted to do. Well, there was a man in that farming town, just passing through. He didn't seem like the rest of us, holding his Bible, holes in his shoes, and singing this tune. I'm a soul farmer. I ain't got no ground. Gave it all for boy, when God calls, we're either going to run or we're going to stand at attention and say, okay, Lord. And the Lord knows exactly what that's going to take. Because we're not here on earth just to kind of like dilly-dally around, right? Each and every one of us has an assignment. And that was one of my weaknesses when I got into recovery. I did not take myself seriously. Not at all. I just thought I was a throwaway. I didn't think my life really counted. So I found that I was treating other people the same way because I didn't value myself. And we cannot give what we don't have. And through Celebrate Recovery, the Lord helped me to reach that point of valuing myself and realizing, you know what, I was wanted. I was told by people I wasn't. But that's not what God told me. And when I started to believe that, it changed my whole life. And I wrote this song. I went to the Cornerstone Women's Retreat last summer, and Pastor Cindy, the Pastor Franklin's wife, asked me to share a song. And so I prayed, and I wrote this song just for that retreat. And it hit me so hard. You can ask my husband. We were practicing, and I couldn't quit crying. It just hit me so hard. And he said, is this your story? And I said, well, it's part of it, but somebody lived this song right here. Because this is real pain that I'm hearing from God right now. And so I have yet to meet the person that has lived this song, but I know one day I'm going to. And I just hope you enjoy it. It's called Wanted. Little girl, she tried so hard but nothing seemed pleased. Mom and Dad, too young and too tied down to see. They lock her in her little room at night, go out on town. Through her tears she learned to pray, Lord, I lay me down. And God, just one more thing. And I wanted the mystery. Some days I feel like a throwaway. Somewhere inside, I tried to hide. There's bound to be a reason I'm alive.
Hi, my name is Manuel Duque, and my wife's name is Christina. We're the ministry leaders from Celebrate Recovery. Celebrate Recovery is a program for people that are struggling with hurt habits and hang-ups and other life-controlling issues. Celebrate Recovery is a place where you can come and celebrate your healing through the 8 recovery principles, which are found in the Beatitudes and Christ-centered 12 steps. Celebrate Recovery, it offers healing. It helps us with our struggles. I mean, we offer different programs. It's not only for men or for women. You know, once we learn to apply these principles to our lives, we have the freedom to receive spiritual growth and also peace and comfort and a stronger relationship with Jesus Christ and other people.
For you ladies out there, I just want to let you know that Celebrate Recovery is a safe place for you. When we have open share groups, they're separated from the men. It's only for women only. And we have strict guidelines where everything is kept confidential. So whatever you share in your group is going to stay in the group. And we have wonderful ladies that lead these groups. And we just want you to know that Celebrate Recovery at West McKinley is a safe place for you to come. And we'd love to have you here.
Man, we also would like you to know that you're no different than women. I know that some of us struggle with speaking in front of women for the things that we have done that we're ashamed of. But there's no worry because everything is kept confidential. Men are with men and women are with women. And we'll love to have you just come and join us to Celebrate Recovery so that you could be set free also.
Hi, we'd really love for you to join us at West McKinley Celebrate Recovery. We meet on Wednesday nights. We have our cafe at 6:15. Come and join us for free refreshments, coffee, water, and we have Starbucks for you. Everything is free. So come and join us in fellowship at 6:15 to 6:45, and our main event does start at 7 o'clock. And after our main event, we have 8 o'clock. We have our open share groups that we separate to. And during all these programs, we do have child care for your nursery care, for youth, and for kids from K through 12.
Hello, my name is Denise Roberts, and I'm a faithful believer in Jesus Christ, and I struggle with codependency, food addiction, and control issues. And Celebrate Recovery has helped me with each one of these issues in different ways, and I'll start with codependency. When I first started coming to Celebrate Recovery, I didn't realize that I was codependent. I didn't even really understand what codependency was. But I chose the codependency class because I knew the leader and I felt comfortable. So I went in and very quickly started to realize after I read the pamphlet on what codependency was that I definitely had some of those characteristics. So I started continuing going on with the class, and throughout my year recovery, Celebrate Recovery has helped me to establish healthy boundaries now, understand when I start to behave in old behavior. I can recognize the codependent behavior now, so I go back to my steps and my principles, and definitely rely on the Lord to help me, again, just establish those healthy boundaries and stay focused. As for the overeating or food addiction, I struggled with food my whole entire life. Weight was always an issue for me. I had gastric bypass 13 years ago, and about 3 years after having it, I started to gain the weight back. I gained about half of my weight back, and through Celebrate Recovery, I realized that food was so much a part of me. It was definitely a coping mechanism. So food would be what I would run to if I was scared or sad or stressed out. So going through Celebrate Recovery, over my 12 months of my year, I lost 40 pounds because God has given me new ways of dealing with the stress. Not only just running to Him. I mean, I need to run to the Lord instead of running to food, but also He's given me other ways to I guess, work the bugs out when I'm stressed out or when I'm having a hard time. I've definitely incorporated exercise into my recovery. That's a positive, healthy thing that he's given me, and I enjoy it, and I would have never thought I would have said that. At my highest weight being 327 pounds and barely being able to tie my shoes, now I'm running 4 miles and exercising and just enjoying life in ways I never thought I would be able to do. And I don't say that to brag, but I say that to those that may struggle with your weight. You are capable of way more than you think you are, and through Christ you can, have that abundant life that he's promised us. As for the control issues, not only did I use food as a way of controlling my emotions, but I felt, being codependent, that I had to be in control of everything. It was kind of like a safe place for me. If I was in control of it, then I could control the outcome. But the reality is I can't control the outcome, and I can't control other people. And really, I don't have any even control in my own life. The best thing that I learned, or maybe the wake-up call, was step 1 for me, that I realize I'm not God, and that I cannot control my tendency to do the wrong thing, and that I need to just give up complete surrender to him. And in doing that, I found so much freedom to say, you know what, I don't have all the answers. I don't know what tomorrow's outcome is going to be, and I can't control tomorrow's outcome, but I can wake up each morning and surrender to him and ask him to guide me and direct me in each decision that I have to make. And there is freedom in that, being able to just say, I can't do it, but through him I can. If you are hurting today, if you are struggling today, I want you to know that Celebrate Recovery is not a 12-step program for only drugs and alcohol. Celebrate Recovery is a program that is for anyone, for any area of your life that you're struggling, any hurt, habit, or hang-up, any area of addiction, compulsive behavior. Life hurts sometimes. We have hurts, we have relational issues, we have marital issues, maybe even strained relationships with your children. Celebrate Recovery is a tool. It's really a tool in using God's word to apply it to your life in a way that's easy to understand through the 12 steps and 8 principles. God's word covers every area of our life, and it's definitely applicable to you. If you're struggling, I just want to encourage you to reach out to your local church. They can direct you to the nearest Celebrate Recovery. You'll find a place full of other people who are struggling as well, but are willing to love you and encourage you along your journey. I know for me, at the end of my 12 steps, I can honestly say that I feel more alive than I ever have in my entire life. I have joy in my heart, and I still have my struggles. I still have my issues I deal with every day. But my relationship with Christ is stronger than it's ever been, and I feel like I can breathe now. And before I didn't. I felt like I had a heavy weight on my chest, and life was hard. And now life is difficult, but I see hope and light at the end of the tunnel.
First time I walked into Celebrate Recovery, I felt like I was among friends, and I had finally found my place. And after I had gotten used to Celebrate Recovery, I was able to plug into the church. And I realized that sometimes people in church are dealing with their own things, and sometimes they wound us, but God doesn't. And I had to get that concept separated, that the Lord is safe, and the Lord will put safe people around me as I continue to walk on my journey. So I just want to encourage any of you that are here tonight, and you're like, well, I don't really know if I need Celebrate Recovery. Give it a try. Give it a try and see what God will do with that. And I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, what my husband and I do. It's been sort of a long journey. After we've been married a while, he told me to start sending my songs out to be published by country music publishers. I ended up getting some of my songs picked up, and a Nashville producer contacted me, and that's why I ended up going to Nashville. He and I prayed about it. We realized that God had called us to himself to clean us up and get us to a point where he could send us out. And sometimes, many times, I believe God will send us right back to our own people. And that's what he did. My people our country music people because I grew up on the rodeo circuit, trick riding, trick roping, all that. And that's who I connected with. And so when we do radio interviews around the United States, sometimes it's Christian radio, but sometimes it's secular country radio. And we talk about God and we talk about our faith and our recovery. And we're blessed. We're so thankful that God opens those doors. And so anyway, I'm going to back up, though. And you're probably wondering, like, how did this whole thing happen with the drummer and the singer? So one day, as I'm the worship leader for this recovery group, I needed a fill-in drummer, and somebody gave me his phone number. And I called him, and in he came. And I tell you, if I could use one word to describe his look that day, I would say it would be defeated. His head was low. He wouldn't make eye contact. He wouldn't stand still. I thought, wow, what is this guy up to? And we found out, he stayed permanently. We found out that he had been through his second divorce recently when he was in our band, our recovery band. He had been drinking so heavily that it was a case of beer every day was something hard at night. And then he'd get up early the next morning and go to his farming job. He had gotten custody of his daughter. He was a single dad at that point, raising her. And as the time went on, the Lord sort of let me in on, I don't know if you'd call it a secret or a future plan, but, you know, God will speak to our future sometimes. And I didn't know that God could be a matchmaker. And I didn't grow up in church, remember? I was a heathen. And I read this story in the Bible called Ruth. And every time I would look at him in my band, I would hear Boaz would spring up in my spirit. And I thought, oh, my, the Lord's doing something here. And I thought the light was going to go on with him early on, and it didn't. I'll just make a long story short. 3 years went by, and I didn't say a word, but I knew God had a plan. I knew I was either crazy or it was going to come true, and it came true. One day after, amen. One day after 12-step, he said, can I talk to you outside? And I said, sure. So we go outside, and he's plastered up against the wall. And he says, I need to tell you something. He said, I don't know how I'm going to say this. But he said, I think God's putting us together. And I said, yeah, I've been waiting for you for 3 years. Come on out, my love. He's going to come out. Now, this girl did not handle this real well during those 3 years. I mean, I was on the ground, pouting, pounding my fists. God, he's going to find somebody else. Your timing is not right. You need to tell him. But you know what God did in me during those 3 years was drew me to himself so that I was getting everything I needed from the Lord and not a man. I had, amen. This girl had some starving places in her heart. And if I had married him early on, I would have tried to get it from him. And he's not meant to do that for me. We're meant to get our value and our self-esteem and all that. That needs to come from the Lord. Amen. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to my honey, Dennis.
Thank you. My name's Dennis, recovering alcoholic, a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. How y'all doing? Amen. Thanks for coming out. I don't know where to start. I have a very long story, so I'll do the best that I can to put it all together. You're looking at a guy that's been twice divorced, an alcoholic, and made lots of failures and hurt lots of people. And what do you do with that? Personally, I didn't know what to do with that. As I came to the Lord, I accepted the Lord when I was 13 in church, and I did the best that I could to follow him. But when I got into my 20s, I started to drift and hang around with the wrong folk, and pretty soon I was way off in no man's land. But praise God, he goes after the one that leaves the 99. He'll never leave you stranded. Yes, amen. As I was buried in my pain and my drinking and my suffering and all my mistakes, I really wanted my life to end. That's really what I wanted to do. And I know I've talked with a lot of folk that believe that same thing. What is the use? What is the point? What is the reason? Why am I here? And I started crying out to God again. I started asking him, like, man, God, what? I mean, I did all this, and he knows that. He knows all the things that we've done and we will continue to do. But at the same time, through his grace, love, and mercy, he started to put me back, put my feet on a rock. But I had to do the work. Our Pastor Brad this morning was talking about doing the work. We can't just say, okay, God, heal me. We got to do the work. We got to pick up the shovel. If we got to dig a ditch or chop a weed in our life, we got to do it. And let me tell you, number one, I had to move away from the people that were pulling me down. Now, I loved them, and we're all sinners. We're all on the same level that way. But I knew if I was going to come out of my hole that I needed to be influenced in a different way. And to be alone, walking that path alone, and not having a lot of people around me, it was pretty tough. I wanted to give up. But I read in Psalms where it's better to be alone than in bad company. And I started to experience that in my own life. Bit by bit started to get better and better as I came to the Lord with my stuff and started giving it to him, started surrendering, started trusting, started believing. He started to move in my life like never before. People came up and would start praying over me in this church, and they didn't know me. I was from another town. I just came to their church, and they would read my mail, meaning they knew stuff about me that I knew only God knew. So I knew that he cared. I knew he was there. And he manifested himself in a very real way in my life in that way. Okay, so as I'm going through my recovery, and I'm at this church, I rededicate my life to the Lord in 2000. There's a lot of pain and suffering that I'd caused. I wasn't ready to deal with yet, and I hadn't approached the folk that I had hurt. And I was just trying to get back on my feet, basically, and walk. And God started moving in my life. I stopped drinking. He started healing me. All these great things happened. Well, there was people in that church that would look at me and say, wow, this guy's getting cleaned up, and we're going to set you up. They wanted to set me up in dating. And I told them, no, I'm not going there. And they'd look at me like I was crazy. And I'm thinking, like, you don't really know me, and if you knew what I'd been through, you would see and understand why. So long story short, I kept putting that off for a couple of years. When I got into the recovery band that she was telling you about the story, you know, I was there. I was glad to be there. I was getting the healing. All these wonderful things were happening. She was writing these songs. I was back there on the drums crying because they were hitting me right in the heart, and I didn't know why. Because God's word was in it. God's healing was in it. And as I walked that process, after about 3 years, I felt the Lord nudging me, what she was talking about, towards her. And I'm thinking, no way, I'm feeling good. You know, I had 2 major failure divorces. I've been a clown in a lot of ways. I made a lot of mistakes. And I'm thinking, no way, no way, no way. I tried to run the other way, kind of like Jonah. And God picked me up by the shirt collar after a few months and put me like right in front of her, right to the point where I had to come face to face with her and say the words that she had said about, you know what, I've been waiting for you for 3 years. And in my heart, I had to know that God was calling me to do that. And so I went in fear and in trembling, and I just kind of, like she said, I was up against the wall. I was scared. But what I learned after the process, you know the story already, but what I learned through the process is that God wanted me to trust everything to him. No longer try to make the decision myself. And if I back up a couple of years prior to that, I had made flippant comments about, if the Lord wants me married, he'll send the right one at the right time. The whole time in my heart, I was like, no way, that ain't going to happen. You know, I just felt like I'd hold people off a little bit longer that way. And so it happened. And when it happened, I was shocked. But again, as I surrendered and said, all right, Lord, I can't do this. Lord, you have to do it. If I'm going to be married, then you're going to be the success of this marriage. You're going to be the success of anything I do. Jesus Christ is going to get the glory. So here we are. We just celebrated 8.5 years of marriage. Amen. Amen. Now keep in mind, my first 2 marriages combined didn't even equal that. So God is impressive. He's very impressive. Very impressive. But again, surrendering. So what that showed me is that to surrender every little thing that I had in my life. So I started dealing with emotional abuse and trauma and things that I had experienced as a youngster. And, you know, even this week, she sang that last song, Wanted. Just this last week, I was rejected by people that I tried to go make amends with. I tried to start over. They said they didn't want me. They said to get lost, to get out of there. And sometimes that's going to happen. But don't lose heart. God always wants you. He always wants you. It's all over his word. If you open his word and study it, it's everywhere. I love Colossians 1. I believe it's 22 or 23. He says that he brought us back unto him through his death on the cross, through coming and walking the earth and all the things he did, he reconciled us unto him once again as friends. And I thought, man, who would do that? Would we do that for one another? We do, but we struggle with that. But Christ says, come on. But Jesus says, come on. I died for you. That's why I came. That's why God sent his son to redeem that, to seal our eternity with him, so we won't be separated from him. So if anybody's here tonight wondering, like, I don't know about all this, and you know what? Even if you don't go the Celebrate Recovery way, go the God way. Don't get me wrong. Jesus is in Celebrate Recovery. It's all about Jesus. But at the same time, don't fear the 12 steps, but don't fear the main step to Christ. Take that main step towards Christ. Take a step towards him, and he takes all the steps towards us, and he will help us heal and grow in a way that, and you will be amazed. But it takes surrender. It takes surrender to do that. And I can stand up here and say, 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years ago, there's no way I thought I'd be doing any of this. There's just no way. But it shows that God has a plan with our brokenness. God has a plan with our mistakes. He turns them into success, and on we go. So if I can encourage anybody tonight, I would say don't give up. Put your faith and your trust in God. Take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Don't be pressured by others. But understand God's love, God's grace, and mercy. You are wanted because you are his creation. We are his creation, and he wants us. And he wants us helping one another, not kicking one another when we're down, but lifting one another up in love and in grace and keeping some things to ourselves. I had some things thrown on me this week from my past, from a person that had no business knowing my business. I shared what I had to share with the people that helped bring healing and help me to go forward. But sometimes people just grab stuff just to throw at you. And Jesus always said, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Well, when that happens, nobody's throwing rocks. That's right. Amen. Romans 8:28, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Every one of us is a sinner, but yet we are saved by grace through Jesus Christ. So I give him all the praise, all the honor, all the glory. And I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for letting me share tonight. And I hope that we're encouraging you somehow, some way in the Lord. So thank you. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Mike. Amen. Well, this next song is a song about suicide. And we had a girl at one of our concerts when my single came out on radio, on country radio, they put us on a radio tour around the United States. And this little gal was at our concert, 19 years old. Her sponsor brought her to our concert, but they told us that her plan was to stay home and take her life that night. But the sponsor talked her into coming, and I was so grateful for that. But I went home, and it really bothered me. And I prayed about it, and I said, Lord, how many other people are just right on the edge? I know I've been there at times in my life, and it's been when I was in recovery and when I was following God, when all the pain, I wasn't numbing anymore. It was real. Lord, give me a song that could encourage somebody. A couple months went by, and this story, I just saw it like a movie in my head, and it's called The 605. And the point of the song is that if you're still breathing, there's a reason why. Somebody in your future is counting on your decision to live. The 605. He's an American story. He's there waiting by the tracks tonight on his darkest night. And he didn't mean to, but the American dream slipped through his hands and brought him to his end tonight. He hates his mind tonight. He can't do anything right, and all he sees is a pathetic life. He dreams of nothing, 'cause he's tired of losing. He's got no reason
That 1 year later, he had a baby daughter. And on the tracks that night, he saved my life. 'Cause hope was coming down the tracks that night to put end to his misery. 605. Hope was coming down the tracks that night to put end to his misery. The 605. Well, life ain't perfect, but it's worth knowing. If you're still breathing, there's a reason why. If you're still breathing, there's a reason why.
Amen.
Hi, I'm John Gonzalez. I'm a faithful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with alcohol, drugs, and unforgiveness. I started Celebrate Recovery when it first came to West McKinley. You know, I've struggled with alcohol and drugs all my life, and this is the first program I've ever been through, and it's helped me tremendously. It helped me stop doing drugs and alcohol. I've been sober for 5 years, and West McKinley and Celebrate Recovery has got me through a lot. It gave me an opportunity to open up more. And since I've been coming to Celebrate Recovery, you know, it gave me the strength to forgive my brother's murderer. And it was through Celebrate Recovery that I was able to forgive him, because another brother brought him to me through Christ, because I was struggling with revenge for years. And to Celebrate Recovery, it's been tremendous for me. And it's also gave me an opportunity to become a group leader. And since I became a group leader, I became an usher. I became a food ministry operator. And through my whole life, you know, I've never been through any type of programs but Celebrate Recovery, and it works. You know, there's times where I have struggles, and I know I got leaders I can depend on, that I can count on. And our first founder, Jesse, was the one that helped me open up more. And since I became a leader, I've been able to help our second senior pastor for Celebrate Recovery, which is Manuel. You know, whenever they need anything, I'm here, because I've been through it since the beginning. You know, I just love being here all the time. It's through my whole life I've never had Christ, and it's through West McKinley and Celebrate Recovery that's changed my life. And if you struggle with unforgiveness, that plays a major part of your addictions. You know, if you can find it in your heart in any way to forgive the person that hurt you or the ones you hurt, you know, if you can find that forgiveness, there's nothing that God can do. Because when you forgive anybody and if they forgive you, it feels like there's a big burden lifted off your shoulders. You know, no matter what you're going through in life, you know, any addiction, if you don't forgive and ask for forgiveness, you know, you'll just still be addicted to whatever, anger, you know, revenge, drugs, alcohol, food. But as long as you're able to forgive, that will help you in your recovery tremendously. Because I've been there and I've forgiven everybody, and I ask for forgiveness, and it works. You know, it opens up your heart a lot more to let Christ in and through your struggles.
Hi, my name is John. I'm from People's Church, Celebrate Recovery. I'm the ministry leader here, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Celebrate Recovery. Celebrate Recovery is a Christ-centered recovery program for anyone with hurts, habits, and hang-ups, not just addictions from alcohol or drugs, but for any hurt, habit, or hang-up. Anybody's welcome. There's no dues. It's free. It's a Christ-centered ministry. We meet at People's Church on Thursday nights at 5:30 for a barbecue, 6:30 for a large group, 7:30 for our small groups meet, which is men and women meet. And 8:30 we have what we call Solid Rock Cafe, which is a time of fellowship and supportive atmosphere. Anybody can attend Celebrate Recovery, not just a wife or a husband, or both could attend. It's no problem. For me, personally, I've experienced a freedom that I never knew before. I drank for 20 years uncontrollably, loss of control daily, until God came into my life. And with Celebrate Recovery, it's amazing as we work the steps how God keeps representing himself to me even after 32 years of sobriety. So if you think you would fit, if you think God can heal you of your hurts, habits, and hang-ups, come on out to Celebrate Recovery, People's Church, Thursday nights at 5:30 for a barbecue, 6:30 for our large group. So come on out, and we'll see you then.
Hi, I'm Roger, a believer who struggled with sexual integrity. You know, it was something that happened when I was very young, and it was a type of bondage that I just couldn't break. I couldn't break it at all, and it stuck with me all my life. But you know, I didn't think it was a problem because I didn't think it was hurting anybody, and you know, I could control it. Yeah, I could control it, but you know, every time I fell back, it was worse than before, and finally got to the point where it was about to absolutely destroy my marriage, destroy my life, destroy everything that I cherished. And I knew I had to do something. It was either do something or leave everything behind. And fortunately, I came to Celebrate Recovery. And here's what I found. I found people that accepted me for exactly who I was. They didn't care what my problem was. They loved me. And they loved on me. And it was a wonderful atmosphere. And I found teaching. I found men of God and women of God who were willing. They'd walked that path before, and they were willing to walk with me. And then I found a God who loved on me. Now, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but it was more than worth it because they stuck with me. God stuck with me and broke that bondage, and I'm free today. So why do I stick around? Well, I love Celebrate Recovery. Partly I stick around because God's not done with me. There are still some things that just aren't right in my life, and I'm not Christ-like yet, and so I'll stick around and work on those things. I stick around because I got a new addiction. I'm addicted to miracles. I see God work miracles in lives every single week. It is just, it's amazing, and it touches me to my very, very core. And the other reason to stick around, I always thought I would serve God. And there was the Roger plan, and God had a different plan. And, you know, I don't think anybody sets out when they're young to say, yeah, I'm going to be in recovery ministry. Yeah, you betcha. No. God chose me for this ministry, and it's exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I'm just delighted. I would encourage anyone that's got any struggles in their lives, anything, whether it's an addiction or you're just, you know, this just isn't right in my life. Come to Celebrate Recovery. You'll find people that love you, care for you, and you'll find a path to freedom from those things. Thank you.
That last song, the 605, if you'd like to see that again, it's on YouTube. Just Google Heather Layne. And actually, we had a music video done for us. And this is what God can do with a poor girl from Central California. A pastor heard about this song who knew a videographer who had worked for Warner Brothers in Los Angeles. That guy listened to the 605, and he said, I want to shoot a music video for you guys. And he said, I want to do it for free. Amen. And that music video right now is going into over 200 countries because they put it on Daystar television. It plays at 1:30 in the afternoon on Saturdays on a show called Nashville Country Revival. It's also playing on the Nashville Network and Heartland TV. So if you have any of those stations, you might want to watch that show. They don't play us every week, but they do quite often. And we're grateful because it's got the whole storyline of the guy laying on the tracks, and he's done with life, and he ends up giving his life to the Lord right there on the tracks, and then his daughter's in the video at the end. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that on that song. Now this next song is Amazing Grace. This is a song that I've written like the rest of these songs tonight, but it's not the one that you're probably thinking of. As my husband and I have ministered at a lot of prisons, including Chowchilla, Corcoran State Prison several times, out-of-state prisons in Texas, Tennessee, all over the place, I was hearing a common denominator, and it was shame. I was having women come up to me and say, you know what? I don't even want to tell you this right now, but I was involved in prostitution. And because I was involved in prostitution, I feel ashamed. I feel like God can never forgive me. And, I would just try to encourage them. But again, one day I'm sitting in my music room, and this song just rolls off my pen. And it was all these stories that I had heard, and it's mainly from women right here in the Central Valley. So it's a true song that encompasses several stories that were told to me. And I hope you enjoy it. Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, she's on the bus now, headed downtown to take her place. And know that face behind beauty, she's so lonely and wants a change. She's just 18, the boys are waiting, and they're wanting some amazing grace. And she'll go with a smile, but all the while she'll be crying inside. An amazing grace, I hear her praying for someone to take her place. An amazing grace, she came from nothing, just wants to be something. Amazing grace. Then one night, things got crazy. She was fighting for her life, and in a drunken rage, oh, he tried. But on that night, she killed a man. An amazing grace, I hear her praying for someone to take her place. An amazing grace, she came from nothing, just wants to be something. Amazing grace. Now locked away, she cries. She's so sorry. What a wasted life. Until that day, a man with a Bible told her about the one who took her place. Whoa, whoa, an amazing grace. I hear her singing about the one who took her place. An amazing grace, she came from nothing, but now she's something. last song. We've got one more at the very, very end, but so y'all have been such a good audience tonight. Amen. Thank you. God is good. Amen. And God wants to use every single person in this room to bring him honor and glory in this earth. And if you have not heard anything else tonight, I hope that's what you heard. Thank you. What's that? Oh, amen. Thank you for being here. Rescue the Children. Fresno is here. Amen. Well, we're going to have you stand, and we're going to close with a song called Step by Step. But after this song, we actually have one more song, so don't leave. But this is sort of my interpretation of the 12 steps. Hope you enjoy it. We want you to be free to just kind of rock out. So here we go. Step 1, admit it, I'm done. Step 2, finally know that I need you. Step 3, it's not all about me. Step 4, looking deeper than before. Step 5, admitting to my dark side. Step 6, I'm a mess that only you can fix. Here's the chorus. we're going to close with a song that I actually wrote for a movie. One of my friends that I went to high school with, she's a director down in Hollywood, and she said, Heather, I love your song, Amazing Grace. She goes, I want you to read my script and write one just like it. So I read the script, and it wasn't exactly like Amazing Grace, but I read it and prayed over it, and God gave me this song. And it's exciting to me because the whole point of her movie, it's about a prostitute that everybody's telling her, oh, just get out, just get out. You know, it's an easy choice. It's an easy choice. But it's not, is it? You know, the places that our life takes us, sometimes it takes a change inside before we can make a change on the outside. And it takes courage to change. It took a lot of courage for me to say, you know what, I'm worth more than where I've been in my life. And I need to up my standard where God sees me, because God speaks to our potential. God speaks to what he sees, not where we're at. He loves us right where we're at, but he loves us too much to leave us there. And that's really, this song is about Zephaniah 3:17, that God sings over us a song of love and a song of potential. So you have the courage to change tonight, just like I do in Christ. Here we go. You don't know me. Don't you judge me, 'cause you can't see. Inside of me, we all have a story. Pain to glory, we all feel humanity. You came along to sing my song, and I'm starting to see a brand new good. Amen. Another one? I want to let you know that if you are from a transitional home or a recovery home, we have a free CD for your house. Just, amen. Tell Lori in the back. Lori's my assistant, and she's awesome, and she'll help you with that. And I think Pastor Brad's going to come now.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Had a good time? Amen. I'm going to ask you to bow your heads. We're going to pray, but I want to do something while you have your heads bowed. If you just bow your heads for just a minute tonight. We talked a lot about getting our life right, about, on the road to recovery and a lot of struggles and stuff we go through. There's maybe somebody you here tonight, maybe somebody brought you tonight. You don't have a relationship with Christ. It's very easy to start that relationship with Christ. First, you got to admit that we've got sin in our life. We've done some things wrong. And you're in good company because you're in the human race, and we've all done things wrong. There's none righteous, the Bible says, no, not one. So we admit that we're sinners. We admit that we've done things wrong. We made bad choices.